In this video, we're diving into a gripping and troubling story, a wave of explosions, fires, and industrial disasters that have rocked Iran over the past 12 months, from May 2024 to May 2025. From the capital, Tehran, to the southern port of Bandar Abbas, these incidents have left over 90 people dead, more than 1,000 injured, and sparked intense speculation about what's really going on. Are these just tragic accidents, or is something more sinister at play? Let's break it all down, incident by incident, and explore the bigger picture. Stick with me. This is a wild one. First up, let's talk about the Tabriz coal mine explosion in eastern Iran. On September 21st, 2024, a methane gas leak triggered a massive blast in the Madanju coal mine in South Khorasan province. It happened around 9 p.m. in two mining shafts, blocks B and C. At least 31 miners were killed and 16 were injured, though early reports feared up to 51 dead as rescuers searched for missing workers. 69 miners were underground when it happened. Iran's interior minister confirmed the cause, a methane buildup, making this one of the country's worst mining disasters. Rescue teams worked for days, clearing rubble and venting gas. President Masoud Pezeshkian offered condolences and promised an investigation, shining a spotlight on South Khorasan, which supplies 76% of Iran's coal, and raising big questions about mine safety. Next, we move to Tehran for the Shadabad iron market fire on October 21st, 2024. A devastating blaze broke out in a warehouse packed with glue and chemicals, spreading fast through the market stalls. Witnesses heard explosions and saw thick black smoke choking the city skyline. 3 people died, their bodies found by firefighters, and 7 were injured with burns and smoke inhalation. Tehran's fire department blamed negligence. Flammable stuff like gas cylinders and spray cans was stored unsafely, fueling the fire and causing blasts. Dozens of firefighting units battled the inferno, but the disaster exposed chronic safety lapses in Iran's industrial markets. Jalal Maleki, the fire department's spokesperson, called it out: poor storage and weak fire codes were a recipe for tragedy. Fast forward to April 2025, and things start getting intense. On the night of April 25-26, a huge fire erupted at a cardboard factory in Nazarabad, near Karaj, just west of Tehran. Flames tore through warehouses stuffed with paper and packaging materials. Locals reported hearing a blast or feeling tremors, which got confusing because a 4.0 magnitude earthquake hit nearby around the same time. Luckily, no one was hurt, but the fire damaged at least a dozen storage units. Officials think it was accidental, likely sparked by an electrical fault or lightning, with high winds spreading the flames. This fire came right before a string of other incidents, fueling concerns about industrial safety, or even sabotage. More on that in a sec. Now the big one, the Bandar Abbas port explosion on April 26, 2025. This was the deadliest incident of the year, rocking Shahid Raja'i, Iran's largest commercial port on the Strait of Hormuz. A massive blast in the container yard sent a fireball and black smoke miles into the sky, shattering windows kilometers away and even shaking Keshem Island 26 kilometers out. The explosion carved out 50-meter craters and leveled nearby buildings. At least 57 people were killed and over 1,000 injured, though early reports feared 70 dead and 1,200 hurt. Some opposition sources claim the real toll was even higher, accusing the government of a cover-up. Most victims were hospitalized for burns or blast injuries, but thankfully, many were discharged within days. Iranian officials say the cause was accidental, negligent storage of flammable chemicals, specifically ammonium or sodium perchlorate, a missile fuel component. A source tied to the Revolutionary Guard even said a shipment of missile propellant detonated, though the Defense Ministry denied any military cargo was involved. Interior Minister Eskandar Momeni blamed non-compliance with safety precautions. But here's where it gets spicy. The blast happened during nuclear talks with the U.S. in Oman, and the port's a key trade hub near a global oil choke point. Some Iranians, including opposition figures, whispered about sabotage, especially since the chemicals could be military grade. Iran and Israel both stayed quiet on that theory, but the timing raised eyebrows. President Pezeshkian rushed to the site. Firefighters battled the blaze for 2 days with help from Russian aircraft, and the government arrested 2 managers for negligence. Toxic smoke forced residents to mask up, and an investigation found false declarations of goods at the port. This wasn't just a disaster, it was a national wake-up call. Just 1 day later, on April 27th, Another explosion hit a petrochemical plant in Qom, central Iran, at the Ava Nar Parsian facility. At least 5 workers were injured with burns and shrapnel wounds, but no deaths were reported. The cause? Still under investigation, possibly a chemical reaction or gas leak. State media barely covered it. Opposition outlets like Iran International broke the news, adding to the public's unease. Coming right after Bandar Abbas, it felt like Iran was under siege by explosions. No official sabotage claims, but the timing had people talking. Then, on April 28th, a fuel depot in Zahedan, southeast Iran, went up in flames. An oil tanker truck caught fire, spreading to storage tanks and triggering a blast that sent smoke over the city. 1 worker died, and 2 others were critically injured with severe burns. Local reports point to an accident, maybe a malfunction or lightning in stormy weather igniting the tanker. Zahedan's far from the other sites, and there's no hint of sabotage here, just another tragic mishap. Firefighters contained the blaze, but it added to the sense that Iran's infrastructure was crumbling under pressure. The hits kept coming. On April 29th, a chemical warehouse in Isfahan's Meymeh district, run by Ava Nar Parsian Chemical Industries, exploded. This place stored fireworks and gunpowder, and the blast killed 2 workers. No cause has been confirmed, but a spark or storage issue with those volatile materials is likely. Here's the twist. This company's tied to Iran's Supreme National Security Council and handles industrial explosives, maybe even for the military. Some Arabic media claimed it was producing gunpowder for defense purposes. That's got people wondering, accident or targeted sabotage? No official accusations yet, but the security angle makes this one stand out, especially so soon after Bandar Abbas. Into May 2025, we hit Mashhad, Iran's second largest city. On May 4th, a massive explosion and fire tore through a motorcycle factory and warehouse, burning tires and cardboard. Social media lit up with videos of black smoke and firefighters racing in, but Iran's state media? Total silence. Casualty numbers are unclear. Some say workers were injured, but there's no official word. The cause is still unknown. Maybe an accidental fire that set off fuel or machinery. What's wild is that this happened within an hour of the Qom blast, according to opposition reports. Coincidence? Maybe, but it's got people suspicious. The government's media blackout didn't help, with foreign outlets like Israel's N12 covering it while Iran stayed mum. That silence just fuels the sabotage theories. Finally, we wrap up with a military base explosion in Tehran around May 5th, 2025. A storage container at an IRGC Navy support base near Yasini Highway caught fire and blew up during a mission. 1 IRGC serviceman, Mostafa Abdullahi, was killed, and 10 firefighters were injured battling the blaze. Think burns, smoke inhalation, and 1 with blast trauma. The fire department says the container's doors were shut, trapping heat and gas until it exploded, likely from stored fuel or munitions. The IRGC called it an accident, not sabotage, just a tragic error during routine work. Still, a military site blowing up in the capital, right after all these other incidents, adds to the tension. It shows even Iran's elite forces aren't immune to these safety failures. So, what's the big picture? Over the past year, Iran's been hit by at least 9 major explosions and fires, from Mashhad in the northeast to Zahedan in the southeast, Bandar Abbas on the coast, and Tehran in the center. The toll is brutal. Over 100 dead and about 200 injured, mostly from the Bandar Abbas disaster. Most of these seem tied to accidents or negligence, methane leaks, unsafe chemical storage, or human error. The government's been quick to blame lax safety, even arresting managers in some cases, and they've promised stricter oversight. But let's talk about the elephant in the room: sabotage. That cluster of blasts in late April 2025, Bandar Abbas, Qom, Zahedan, Isfahan, all in a few days, feels like more than bad luck. The Bandar Abbas port handled missile fuel, and the Isfahan warehouse was linked to the military. Iran's dodged sabotage claims, and there's no hard proof of foul play, but the timing and targets are suspicious. Iran's blamed Israel for past attacks, like a 2024 pipeline explosion, and these incidents hit sensitive sites like a key trade port and a defense-linked factory. The Strait of Hormuz explosion had global eyes on it, satellite imagery and all, because it's a major oil choke point. Even the supreme leader ordered a deep dive into the port blast. Yet officially, these are all accidents, maybe to avoid escalating tensions. Eyewitnesses paint a vivid picture. A Bandar Abbas resident said the port explosion felt like a hammer blow shaking the city. Videos verified by the Washington Post showed that fireball lighting up the sky. In Mashhad, locals shared footage of flames while state TV ignored it. Iranian journalists even complained about being silenced on the port story, hinting at a government push to control the narrative. That lack of transparency, plus the sheer number of incidents, has Iranians and the world wondering, is this just aging infrastructure and bad safety, or is someone targeting Iran's key facilities? In the end, Iran's year of disasters points to systemic problems: old equipment, weak safety rules, maybe even weather playing a role. The government's promising audits and better hazardous material storage to stop this from happening again. But with military sites and strategic ports involved and no clear answers on some blasts, sabotage rumors aren't going away. The public's on edge, and international observers are watching to see if Iran's string of explosions dies down, or if more unexplained blasts keep shaking the country.